Sultans of Delhi. In this chapter, we shall learn about the rise and the fall of the 5 dynasties, that is, Slave, the Khilji, Tughlaq, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasties in India. The Slave Dynasty, 12,006 to 90. Qutbuddin Aibak, 12,006 to 10. Slave Dynasty was the first dynasty ruled in India. It was founded by Qutbuddin Aibak, one of the generals of Muhammad Ghori. Aibak, from being a mere slave, became the founder of an empire in India. It was called the Mamluk of Slave Dynasty. Qutbuddin Aibak was known as Lakh Bakhsh, or the giver of lakhs. Ghiyas-ud-Din Balban, 1265 to 87. Balban was advisor of Nasiruddin, succeed Razia Sultan. After becoming the Sultan, faced many problems. He had to defend his empire from foreign invasions of the Mongols and also had to deal with Hindu Rajput rulers, Jats and Mewatis who rebelled against him. Balban, to consolidate his position, adopted the following: centralized the administration and recognized his army, built new forts and repaired the old ones, introduced a set of court etiquettes like the picture of sajda. No one was supposed to laugh or even smile while at the court. The nobles were neither allowed to drink nor to attend parties. These measures thus curtailed powers of the nobles. After his death in 1290, the slave dynasty came to an end, and the Khiljis, a new dynasty, came to power. The Khilji Sultans, 1290 to 1320. Jalaluddin Khilji, 1290 to 96. He set up the Khilji dynasty and Alauddin Khilji, the whole of India and the world. To achieve his aim, he had to curb the power of the nobles to win them over. For this, he needed a strong army. More revenue was needed. Later, Alauddin's slave turned General Malik Kafur led expeditions to South India, where the Yadavas, Kakatiyas and Hoysals, etc. were defeated and plundered. These kingdoms were ruled indirectly. However, the rulers of these kingdoms were allowed to remain kings, but they had to pay a tribute, that is, a regular payment, to Alauddin and accept his supremacy. As a result, he did not have to bother about the administration and at the same time enjoyed regular tribute, which made him rather rich. Market control policy. Alauddin was an ambitious and powerful ruler who required a large standing army. He adopted a bold market control policy and controlled the prices of all commodities, food grain cattle, slaves, imported clothes, etc. to maintain the army. The prices were fixed and were kept extremely low. An official in charge of each market kept a strict watch over buying and selling, cheating in price and weight. And these were found guilty were strictly punished. Agricultural reforms. Alauddin Khilji undertook some agricultural measures in the Doab area, and land revenue was accessed on the basis of the actual produce. The revenue collected in this area was half of the produce in this region. It meant that the rich people could not pass on their share of the tax to the poor. Amils. The special affairs of the Sultan collected the revenue which brought the Sultan close to the peasants and the rural areas. Warehouses where food grain had been stocked, the needed were released. Army reforms. To improve the efficiency of the army, the horses were changed. A descriptive roll of every soldier, that is huliya, was kept so that there was no substitution. Nobility. He took a number of steps to check the rising power of the nobles, like A. Grants to nobles were abolished. B. Their taxes were abolished. C. Private property was abolished. Gambling or drinking parties without the sustain's permissions was not allowed. The gleams. Muslim priests, known as ulemas, were restricted to interfere in administrative matters. Justice. The highest court of append was the Sultan, who announced justice in an open court. Alauddin had under him the chief Qazi, who in turn was assisted by other officials. This justice was efficient and prompt. After his death, the dynasty did not last long, and in 1320, the last Khilji ruler was killed. They were replaced by another family, the Tughlaqs, who began to rule from Delhi. Case study: the Tughlaq, the founder of the Tughlaq dynasty, restored law and order and strengthened the frontiers of the state. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the most famous ruler of this dynasty, that he was a brilliant man whose ideas far ahead of his time, but was not practical, and as a result, most of his plans failed. The records of Moroccan traveller Ibn Battuta, who lived in Muhammad bin Tughlaq's court for many years, is the main source of information. Barani also gives us useful information about the period. As Muhammad bin Tughlaq lacks many plans to improve his administration, frilled, therefore he was also called a wise fool. Some of the measures undertaken by him were: 1. Taxation in the Doab. 2. 3. Token congecy. 4. Various expedition. Firoz Shah Tughlaq, 1935 to 88. Firoz Shah, Muhammad bin the next Sultan, since they adopted some measures to appease the ulemas and the nobles. Welfare schemes introduced for the people are: A. Many new canals and wells were dug. An improvement in agriculture. B. Hisar, Firozpur, Jaunpur and Firozabad, these new towns were built. C. Hospitals for free treatment were built. D. Rest houses, tombs, gardens, etc. were made. In spite of all these measures, due to a number of reasons, the Tughlaq dynasty came to an end by the late 14th century. Firoz Shah's death was followed by chaos and civil war. Reasons for the decline of the Tughlaq dynasty. Summary. 1. Qutbuddin Aibak laid the foundation of Delhi Sultanate in 1206. Iltutmish ascended his throne and consolidated the empire, and also saved the country from attack of Mongols. And that is all in this lesson, student. Learning makes your life interesting, so keep learning.